Hello and welcome to LA Currents. I'm Anita Bennett. Today we're talking about COVID-19 and communities of color. City Councilman Herb Wesson has recently released an informative new video that talks about who can be hurt if we reopen LA too quickly. Joining us now is Councilman Wesson. Thank you so much for being here.
It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Yeah, excellent. Well, tell us about this video and why you made it.
I think that in this business, the most important thing that we can do as public servants are to push and create conversations. So the reason why I did this video is the same reason why I pushed not too long ago requesting that we get statistics based on race where it relates to individuals that contract this virus. You have to educate people and you have to create a conversation about it. So all of us want to reopen. I cannot wait to reopen. It's to a point where I'm suffering from cabin fever, stir craziness. I'm addicted to TikTok, all these kinds of weird things. So it is important that we reopen. But we need to do it in a very smart and informed way, a way that does not adversely affect people. So I want to ensure that we are talking about this, the effects of reopening.
Mm-hmm. The video really hits home the statistics that say Black and brown people have been particularly hard hit. Let's talk about some of the reasons behind this.
Okay.
I know that underlying health issues are a big cause. Can you discuss a little bit about that and what we see in the video?
Yeah, well, as I said a few seconds ago, create a conversation. You can see that now there was a big article in the newspaper, I think yesterday or the day before, that referenced the Latino community. People have to recognize when we reopen, the first people that are going to go back to work are going to be low-wage earners, individuals of color, because these are the people that their job, they can't use computers to work in a grocery store or to be a restaurant worker. So they're going to have to be there themselves, and they are going to be the ones that are exposed to hundreds of people. Our grocery clerks see hundreds of people every day, whereas we might see 5 or 6 sequestered in our homes. And so one of the reasons why it's important to look at all of this is the science is what drives us. And the science indicate that individuals that have pre-existing conditions are more at risk. And when you look at certain communities of color, you see that there are hypertension, obesity, diabetes, and a lot of things similar to that. I guess that could be attributed to a broken public health care system that doesn't do a very good job where it relates to communities of color. And so we need to talk about all of this when we're talking about reopening. If we are going to reopen, why don't we look at mass testing in communities that are economically challenged, communities of color, communities where a significant percentage of those people do the types of jobs that I referenced earlier. Also, if we are going to begin to reopen and put these people out at work and at risk, do they have all of the proper protective gear that they need? And if they don't, what can we do to ensure that they have this gear? What can we do to make sure that their employers are a tad more lenient where it relates to having the ability to wash your hands or to change your gloves or the time to make sure that you keep yourself as clean as possible, having hand sanitizer and you know, soap and things of that nature. We've got to discuss that. And while we're discussing that, you also have to talk about the inequities where it relates to health care and in employment.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk a little bit about employment. I mean, you mentioned grocery stores and people going back to work, but a lot of these folks never left work. People who work in restaurants, you know, in the kitchen, postal workers, and a lot of these are folks of color. So how do we get the word out to businesses that you must protect these workers?
Well, everybody is paying attention to the news. Everybody is struggling with a dramatic change in their lifestyles, from us, the everyday people that walk the street, to your small business, to your large corporations. And so having conversations like this, having programs where people discuss this. I've been fortunate for the past 7 weeks to sponsor on KJLH radio a 2-hour town hall every Saturday between 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. where we highlight things like this. So anything that we can do to pass out information is important, and I think we're doing a pretty good job of trying to do that. The governor gives regular briefings, the mayor gives regular briefings, my colleagues and I do the very best that we can. Social media is abuzz with people trying to push out accurate data.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit more about mass testing. That's a tall order. Right now, you represent District 10. How
Yes.
many testing sites are in your district?
We have a big testing site that we've opened at the Baldwin Hills Crenshaw Mall. Also, close to that area, we have a testing site at the Faith Dome that Apostle Price and his people are manning. There's a testing site at the Drew School of Medicine adjacent to MLK Hospital. There's a testing in Carson and other facilities as well. The Kaiser facilities are testing.
Okay.
But what I would do is, as we're beginning to reopen, I would try to coordinate a way to get as many people as I know that are going to be going back to work tested before they go to work.
It makes absolute sense. Let's talk about some of these protests against keeping the city and the state closed.
Yeah.
What would you say to those protesters?
I get it. You know, most of them are good people, and they're going stir crazy too. And they want their freedoms, and God bless you. This is something that we in this country have never, ever experienced before. It is a war. It is not a war with bombs and bullets, but it's a war against an invisible virus. But I understand, and I think that it's nothing wrong with us beginning to reopen. But everything needs to be based on science, needs to be based on medicine. And I don't believe that any of the protesters want to be in a position because of their actions where they make somebody else sick. So we all want to reopen. Why don't we come together and come up with a common sense plan to do it that minimizes individuals at risk? That's all I'm suggesting.
One thing in our community, and I've seen this on social media, you know, a lot of folks were saying Black people couldn't get the virus because of the melanin in their skin. So, you know, crazy things like that. What do you tell folks, like when you're on KJLH, what do you tell people to get the message across?
Well, that was a big problem, especially early on when the coronavirus did come to our country. You had a lot of inaccurate data that was out there. That's why it was so important that we wanted to get the statistics based on race so that we could dispel a lot of these inaccurate social media posts. So when we were able to show statistics in other parts of this country that indicated that African Americans and Latinos and low-wage owners or low-wage workers were the ones that were getting this virus. I think that set people aback a little bit, made them think, and I believe made them take more precautions. So when you get information that is not right, the most important job that you have is to make sure that you're furnishing people with accurate data. So I think we've done a good job in dispelling a lot of these myths that were out there early on.
In your district, are there any particular resources for people, like to get information?
Well, you go to herbwesson.com. You can go to the various websites of the other council members from the city of Los Angeles. I'm proud that my colleagues have really worked hard to try to make sure accurate information is out so that individuals can get it, read it, and then know how to take care of themselves and their families.
What are you hearing from business owners?
It is, you're looking at more than 50% of the people in this city out of work. Business owners are struggling and creatively doing anything and everything that they can to keep afloat. So there is a big need for assistance to businesses, primarily small businesses, and there's just not enough resources. That's one of the responsibilities, in my opinion, of the federal government. We, on the city level, have put together a renter's assistance program. We've also put together pockets of money to help small businesses, but that's never going to be enough. So the federal government has to really step in. This is a moment where government should rise, not shrink. So I am promoting something similar to back in the 30s, an FDR New Deal, where we can provide a people's bailout, provide good jobs or livable wage jobs with health insurance, provide grants and assistance to mom and pop property owners, landlords, and small businesses. Ensure that individuals that are struggling to pay their rent and stay in their apartments are afforded the opportunity to do that. This is not the time that we want to put more people on the street or close more businesses. We should be doing just the opposite. Government should grow right now. It should not shrink.
Absolutely. If people need that renter's assistance or small business assistance, can they get the information on your website?
Yes, herbwesson.com, and then there are links that will tell you where to go depending on what your need is.
The business owners in your district, have you heard, are many getting, especially owners of color, are they getting the federal small business loans?
Well, there's been a big problem in that a lot of them don't bank with your conventional banks or your big banks. And when the stimulus money did come out, the large lenders were taking care of their current clients. And a lot of times, by the time a small business person actually got the application to fill out, the resources were already gone, so adjustments have been made. I'm proud of Congresswoman Maxine Waters, Karen Bass, and a lot of the ethnic caucuses that are demanding and creatively coming up with ways to ensure that small businesses do have a chance to qualify and get some of this money. But it has been a challenge, without a doubt.
Seems like the facts are there. Some companies have gotten the aid that aren't exactly small.
Well, look, I have been a Laker fan for the majority of my life, but they received a check for almost $5 million. But they're a great organization and they gave it back. But trust me, I just don't think the Los Angeles Lakers are going to fold during this crisis. But there are a lot of small businesses that are operating on very narrow margins that need any and every break that they can get. And that's where the focus needs to be.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk a little bit more about the video. It's very poignant. Did you include any specific stories in there, or anecdotes from people in your district?
Well, basically, it's a combination of stories that we've heard from many individuals throughout, not just my district, but throughout the city of Los Angeles and some of the smaller cities that surround the city of Los Angeles. And we felt we would just want to put together a video that could catch one's attention and one that would generate questions about this. Another thing that people are missing, though, about the video, we are also doing a survey where we're asking people, well, what do you think about reopening, and what do you think will be in place? So shortly, I'll be releasing the results of that survey and give people the flavor for what folk in the streets are saying about it.
Mm-hmm. And where can people see the video?
Well, the video is posted on my platforms, on my Instagram, my Twitter, and my Facebook, and it's been spread around. So I think the video is out there. We'll probably re-release it, and this time with results from our study or our survey.
How long did it take to make?
The video we did in like a couple hours.
Oh, wow. Quick turnaround.
Yeah, well, no, I'm fast like that.
It seems that the virus is being politicized. Would you agree?
And that's unfortunate. And for those of us that recognize that that's the absolute worst thing that we can do, we just need to stay focused. Mm-hmm. We need to make sure that we're getting accurate data out there. The worst thing that we can do at this point in time is politicize this, because individuals have actually died, and they've lost family members, loved ones, and friends. You don't politicize that.
Mm-hmm. There has been some confusion in terms of the county news conferences or what the county is saying in the city. How closely are the city and the county working together to get the word out?
Well, for years, people have complained about a lack of coordination, or maybe even a competition between different levels of government. I believe things like homelessness and things like this virus has brought us together, where for the first time in my political career, we are really, really trying to coordinate, trying to work together, because we've all come to the conclusion that the most important thing that we can do now is to put the people first. So as the more we work together, I think the more efficient we will get. And I'm optimistic that the residents of this region will be proud of the work that we've done.
You mentioned the homeless. There was an outbreak on Skid Row. What's the city doing to, let the homeless know you need to social distance?
Well, prior to this, homelessness was our focus, and we were creatively trying to develop ways to deal with this. So even though now we're in the midst of this virus, the homeless problem has not gone away. So I think there is even a higher sense of urgency. We've converted rec and park centers into shelters. We have acquired or purchased trailers that are being placed in various locations throughout the city of Los Angeles, where we can move people into these trailers. We have continued to fast track the construction of affordable housing and homeless housing. So we've done an awful lot, but there's still so much more to do. So I guess at this point, you're going to see a working relationship with the nonprofits that are on the front line, that are dealing with the homeless folk on a daily basis, like LA Can, K-Town for All, United Way. So the better our partnerships, we're going to be in a better position to deliver the services that the folk on the streets want, need, and expect, quite frankly.
Before this hit, the city was rapidly opening bridge housing facilities. What's happening? Are you aware of what's happening with those?
We're continuing to attempt to open those as quickly as possible. I know that I'm almost, we hear like I'm out there with a hammer and a nail. We are at a point where we're going to be opening a bridge housing project on my district office in the parking lot. That's about 90% or 95% complete. There's also a bridge home project on Wilshire and Hoover. That's about 80% complete. And if you were to reference other council districts, you would see that that construction has not slowed down. We just have to now figure out when it is ready to be occupied, how can we do that in a way that keeps the individuals that are going to be staying in there safe.
Absolutely.
Because they're not the biggest, they're not the roomiest, but they're good and they're clean and they're safe. We just have to figure out how we're going to deal with bridge housing and the virus.
Have you been hearing from anyone in the city that they're unable to get masks or gloves? Because for a while there was a run on these products.
Well, what I did when I believed that masks were going to become mandatory, I was able to acquire a lot of them. So if there's anybody, and I don't care where you are, anybody that needs a mask, go to herbwesson.com/mask and send us your address and we'll send you a mask. It is important that when people are walking around that they have whatever protective gear they need, and that's something that we have been I want to say that we have delivered over 20,000 masks from my office alone, and other people are doing the same types of things.
Excellent. Have you, with the restrictions, have you been able to get out into the district and talk to folks?
We've been very active. Again, it's moments like this where your government has to be the tip of the spear in trying to address the issue. So we've been very aggressive in doing giveaways. We've given away over almost 500,000 diapers. We have food giveaways 3, 4, 5 times a week. When people need whatever they need, we try to come up with a way to put it together. Like I said, masks, diapers, food. I was this Friday, we gave away over 540-pound boxes of food. I did that with celebrity actor Danny Trejo Machete, and individuals were telling me that their biggest worry is how they're going to feed their family. So we've been very aggressive, and we've been out there in particular focusing on senior citizens. We like to deliver things to them so that we can keep them in their homes. But we've given away thousands of pounds or tons of food, masks, and other things. We're now working on dog food, cat food, and the possibility of coming up with some kind of a community project where we partner with laundromats in the district so that we can help people keep their clothes clean. A lot of individuals have indicated that they're washing their clothes in their bathtubs and in their sinks. And so there's just a lot of need, and I think it's government's responsibility to do its part to try to fill that need.
Where are the resources coming from for these items?
Some of it is city resources, discretionary money. A lot of it is donations that we're receiving from corporations. The diapers, the 500,000 diapers that we gave away, came from an organization called the Good Plus Foundation, and they're led by a darn good man, Dr. Graves, who not only furnished us with these diapers, but has come out into the community himself, helped us to distribute them. I also believe that this organization was founded, or one of their biggest supporters is Jerry Seinfeld's wife. So there are so many people that are in a position to give. A lot of them we've been able to touch their heart, and we have received a lot of donations.
Yeah, and the mayor often highlights that in his daily news conferences and the Angelino cards. There's been a lot of donations, so people really do seem to be stepping up.
But it won't be enough. It's never enough, but we have to try, and we've got to creatively come up with a way to reopen safely and try to return to some sense of normalcy. We did a food giveaway again on Friday, and people were very excited to get these boxes, which were loaded with a lot of real good stuff. But the big hit of the day was that we had a little snow cone vendor. So all of the kids got snow cones. It was just that little touch of normalcy. And it's that I think that not just Angelinos need, but residents throughout this country and the world, because that kind of gives you hope that we will return
to normal.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What was some of the good stuff in those boxes?
Well, we gave away 10 pounds of potatoes, 10 pounds of chicken, 10 pounds of vegetables. There were all kinds. There was 2 pounds of beans, 2 pounds of rice, 2 pounds of pasta. These were real boxes with stuff that people make everyday dinners with. And that's what we want to continue to do. Like I said, and it's tough to get good fruit. It's tough to get chicken because there have been some issues at some of the plants. And so we were able to do that, and I would say the best box in town comes from my office.
How do people, do they need to sign up to attend these events?
We do things like we post it on Facebook and on Twitter, but if they're individuals in need, they should contact my office, and we'll let them know when their food giveaways, and not all of them are from my office, but we will let them know where and when they are. And if they need, then we'll do the very best that we can to try to make sure the next time we do something that they're added to the list. We do a lot of actual deliveries where my staff comes in and we use trucks and we just go out and we deliver. I've done this myself. I enjoy being out, even though I'm six feet away, to be out with the public. That's what I live for.
So you do the deliveries for perhaps seniors or people who can't get out?
Or anybody. There are certain individuals that don't have vehicles, and we'll do that. We just last week also did one where we serviced over 500 people in the Koreatown area. We partnered with the Korean Chamber of Commerce in one of the markets where they put together, again, big boxes, 40 pounds, geared towards the Korean community with the types of items that they enjoy. So these things are happening throughout my district and throughout the city of LA. People have to eat every day, so there's never going to be enough.
Absolutely. Well, Councilman, thank you so much for coming in to discuss this very serious issue with us. And that is going to do it for this edition of LA Currents. I'm Anita Bennett. Thank you so much for watching.